following video is a copyright production of the Arkansas Association of High School Officials. Visit our website at AAHSO.com. The Arkansas Association of High School Officials. We're helping good officials get better. We've got summer back in full swing, and it's a great time to start talking about the fall and football rule changes. So here we go in what may be our shortest football rule change video since we started doing these 5, 6, 7 years ago. So here we go. Let's start with tooth and mouth protectors. This rule changes in Rule 1.5.1D5A, tooth and mouth protectors that are completely clear or completely white or no longer illegal. So half white, half colored is legal, all one color is legal, clear is legal, all completely white is legal. So if those are legal, what are illegal mouthpieces? Tooth and mouth protectors that have been chewed on or altered so they no longer provide the necessary protection must be replaced. When in doubt, it needs to be replaced. This is a player safety issue. Second rule change involving gloves, Rule 1.5 or Note 1.5.2b. The gloves are now required to either carry the NOCSAE seal or the new Sports and Fitness Industry Association seal. The seals must be visible and appear legibly on the exterior wrist opening of the glove. Not too complicated. Big rule change for clipping in 2.17, 9.3.6, and 9.3. The penalty, the exception, now key word now, the exception that did allow for clipping in the free blocking zone has been eliminated. So when can you clip? It's still legal to clip a player who is a runner or a player who is pretending to be the runner. Clipping, blocking below the waist, and blocking in the back are legal methods of bringing down a runner or a player who is pretending to be the runner. This is a great rule change and continues to be showing that emphasis of enhanced player safety, particularly where it goes to any type of contact that occurs below the waist. Let's go over some editorial changes. In equipment, Rule 1.5.1b1, shoulder pads and hard surface auxiliary attachments must be completely covered by a jersey. This is not hard, but we get a number of examples here of players who are displaying hard or uncovered auxiliary equipment that is illegal. Here the shoulder pads are exposed. This is obviously illegal. Again, shoulder pads exposed. Back pads here that are exposed. Back pads and hard surface auxiliary attachments must be completely covered by a jersey. Jerseys shall be long enough to reach the top of the pants and shall be tucked in if they're any longer. Here's another example of a player with a hard pad that is exposed. Side note, guys, what we want to do during the dead ball is just take care of this stuff. This is not something that we want to see penalized. It has nothing to do with the game. These are safety aspects of the rule that we just expect the players to be involved in cleaning up after every play, and the officials need to be pointing these things out. Editorial changes for football jerseys in Rule 1.5.1b2a and 3a. The front and back of the jerseys may contain the school name, school logo, school nickname, or a player name, as you see here in this player pick A. Team nicknames, such as seen on the jersey in player pick B, are now illegal. Editorial change in Rule 5.1.1b. The referee shall correct the number of the next down prior to the ball becoming live after a new series of down is awarded and prior to the declaration of the end of the period. If we award a new series or if the referee signals that the period has ended, we can no longer make changes to the downs in the previous series. Here's some additional editorial rule changes that you can also find in the front of the 2016 NFHS football rule books. You cannot discuss risk minimization without diving headfirst into concussions. As they continue to be the focus of attention in football at all levels of competition, the NFHS has been at the forefront of national sports organization in emphasizing the importance of concussion education, recognition, and proper management. Discussion of proper concussion management at all levels of play and in all sports has led to the adoption of rule changes and concussion-specific policies by multiple athletic organizations, state associations, and school districts. Coaches and game officials need to become familiar with the signs and symptoms of concussions in athletes so that the appropriate steps can be taken to safeguard the health and safety of participants. There continues to be concern from the NFHS Sports Medicine Advisory Committee about the cumulative effects of non-concussive blows to the head and body in practice and in games. Research data is showing that there are significant impacts to the head during non-contact practices and even in practices when players are only wearing helmets for protective gear. Therefore, the NFHS Sports Medicine Advisory Committee is recommending that coaches consider holding their non-contact practices without helmets and pads for the purpose of reducing the number of blows to the head and body. We also want to talk about impact sensors. Now, this technology continues to advance and improve. These sensors can now be used to look at the impact forces in real time while the players are actively participating in the sport. While these sensors are valuable as a research tool, they still can't be used to diagnose a concussion. Players, parents, coaches, and administrators need to be careful not to rely primarily on unproven technology to diagnose a concussion, or even as a tool to decide if a concussion should or shouldn't be suspected. The NFHS Sports Medicine Advisory Committee continues to encourage athletic trainers, coaches, players, and parents to be vigilant about heat illness. The preseason is the time of the greatest risk. An important component of heat illness awareness and preparation is to have in place a well-rehearsed emergency action plan. This includes protocols for treating heat illness, including strategies for rapid cooling at-risk athletes and guidelines for practice and game modifications when indicated by wet bulb globe temperature monitoring. Coaches need to remain open and flexible to change practice and game plans if the environmental conditions are such that players are at a greater risk for heat illness. This is especially true during the heat acclimation period at the start of the preseason training. Early season games also pose a greater risk in some parts of the country for heat-related illnesses. Game officials, as well as association administrators, should work for a consistent protocol and educate both game officials, parents, coaches, and players on specific protocol used during games where heat-related illness is at the greatest risk. Another point of emphasis continues to be legal and illegal blocking. Blocking is simply obstructing an opponent by contacting the opponent with any part of the blocker's body. Illegal blocking includes kick-catching interference, forward pass interference, personal fouls, and any other contact which is specifically prohibited, such as targeting, blocking below the waist or in the back, chop blocking, or clipping. Blocking can involve significant personal contact between a player and his opponent. When proper blocking techniques are taught by coaches and executed by players, risks of injury are minimized. Remember, a player may attempt to take an opponent out of a play, but it is not legal to attempt to take an opponent out of a game. A 2016 NFHS football rule change prohibits clipping anywhere on the field at any time, other than against a runner. Clipping is simply defined as a block against an opponent other than a runner or a pretended runner when the initial contact is from behind and is at or below the waist. This action, under certain circumstances, was previously legal in the free blocking zone. Such is no longer the case. Coaches are encouraged to teach blocking techniques that do not include contact from the rear, at, or below the waist. Game officials are reminded to maintain the integrity of the game and uphold their responsibilities to officiate blocking within the spirit and intent of the rules. Player safety and risk minimization are central objectives of officiating. Efforts by the NFHS Football Rules Committee, NFHS member state associations, and school administrators should be supported by coaches and appropriate rules enforced by game officials to minimize the risk to our student athletes. Legal jersey, pants, and pads. In order to provide for the safety and protection of all participants, players are required to wear equipment and uniforms which are properly fitted and worn in a manner intended by the manufacturer. Jerseys are required to completely cover the shoulder pads and any auxiliary pads, such as rib pads or back pads. Pants must completely cover the knees and knee pads must be worn over the knees. It's becoming more common to see the sleeves of jerseys slide up and over the top of shoulder pads, thus exposing a portion of the pad or untucked jerseys that do not cover the back pads. Additionally, many players wear pants that slide up during use, thus exposing the knee pad and or the knee. Due to the potential for injury to either the player wearing such jerseys, pants, or pads, or to an opponent, it's essential that players not be permitted to participate unless their jerseys and pants fully comply with the rules. A player whose jersey or pants slide up during the game action must immediately make an adjustment to the garment to ensure that it covers all pads and protective equipment, or, in the case of pants, fully cover the knees and knee pads. If adjustments to the jersey or pants during a dead ball period cannot be made, the player should be removed from the game and not permitted to continue to participate on the field of play. Game officials should not permit the ball to become live when they observe any player whose jersey or pants fail to comply with the rules. Rule 9.10 states that a player or non-player or persons not subject to the rules shall not hinder play by an unfair act that has no specific rule coverage. Teams shall not commit any act which, in the opinion of the referee, tends to make a travesty of the game. The spirit of the game of football lives in effective blocking, fundamental tackling, tireless pursuit, skillful running and passing and kicking, and well-planned game strategy. The positive atmosphere cannot be maintained unless both the spirit and the intent of the AAHSO football rules are observed. If the potential values of the game experience are to be obtained, the action of the players must conform with the rules, which specifically prohibit unfair tactics and unsportsmanlike conduct. Unfair tactics distract from the positive atmosphere and the values of interscholastic athletics and have no place in the game of football. The prohibition of unfair acts will encourage sportsmanship, which permeates every aspect of our game. Coaches should exemplify the highest moral character, behavior, integrity, and leadership, adhering to a strong ethical standard and abiding by and teaching the rules of the game in both spirit and intent. Student athletes should understand the seriousness of their responsibility to their teammates and opponents and the privilege of representing their school and community. As leaders, we must commit ourselves to be the preservation of fair play, which includes eliminating illegal, unfair, or dangerous acts both on the practice field and on the field of play. The AAHSO football rules book specifically prohibits unfair acts. Rule 9.10 lists some examples of unfair acts, including hiding the football under a jersey or using an illegal kicking tee. Other unfair acts are prohibited by the spirit and intent of the rules that include, but they're not limited to, the following: uniforms which do not conform to the specific standards or which have a foreign substance on them, use of discerting acts or words prior to the snap in attempt to interfere with the offensive team's signals or movements, and hideout plays, including those that use a substitute or a pretend substitute in order to deceive opponents at or immediately before the snap or free kick. Let's review some specific rule changes from last year. We changed 2.20.1c, defines spearing as an act by any player who initiates contact against an opponent at the shoulders or below with the crown or the top portion of their helmet. The shaded area is in the crown. Number 61 here, guilty of spearing because the crown or the top portion of the helmet was used to initiate contact against an opponent at the shoulders or below. Illegal personal contact in Rule 9.43g, no player or non-player shall make any other contact with an opponent, including the defensive player, which is deemed unnecessary or excessive and which incites roughness. Dead ball penalty enforcement in Rule 10.2.5. In play pick A, the first player false starts. In play pick B, the B player commits a dead ball personal foul. Both fouls occur before the next live ball foul. The penalties do not cancel and are enforced in the order they occur. Remember, this is live ball versus dead ball. In play pick A, a B player commits a dead ball personal foul. In play pick B, A's coach is flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. Both fouls occur before the next live ball. The foul's offset and it will be third down. In play pick A, the B player hits the runner out of bounds, which is a dead ball foul. In play pick B, two A players commit unsportsmanlike fouls. All fouls occur before the next live ball. One A foul and one B foul offset. The penalty for the remaining A foul is enforced. Let's remind you here about a defenseless player with this new definition in 2014 for a defensive player. A defensive player is a player who, because of his physical position and focus of concentration, is especially vulnerable to injury. Some examples of defenseless players. Here, B6 has chosen not to participate further and is obviously out of the play. He is considered to be defenseless. Also, a player who has kicked the ball or who has not had a reasonable amount of time to regain his balance after the kick is also a defenseless player. A pass receiver attempting to catch a pass, or a pass receiver who clearly relaxed when the pass has been missed or he feels he can no longer catch the pass, he is also considered a defenseless player. A kick receiver attempting to catch or recover the ball is considered defenseless. A player on the ground is also considered defenseless. A runner already in the grasp of an opponent whose forward progress has been stopped is defenseless. Contact on the runner could also be considered targeting or spearing. that is it for our 2016 football rule change video. Not a whole lot on it, but a great review of some of the things that we even changed last year. You can tell the focus of the Football Rules Committee continues to be on player safety. Blocks that are low, blocks that are high, hits that are unnecessary, defenseless players, people who are out of the game. It's clearly of paramount importance to the Rules Committee that we as game officials and coaches continue to do things to improve the safety for our student athletes. It's about protecting the game and what makes high school football so exciting. Now, checking out these videos is by no means a substitute for diligent study of the rules and the casebook, not just the rule changes, but all of the rules in the NFHS Football Rules Book. If you build a solid foundation of rules knowledge and you study throughout the year, not just during the season, then you're able to build and get better and better of your familiarity with the rules, your understanding of the application, the particulars that are contained in the casebook, and you'll be a better game manager by having that information. It's not just the rules, it's how to apply the rules, understanding advantage, disadvantage, and protecting the student athletes. That's what being a great high school football official is all about. Let the kids play. Until week 1, Todd Allen saying thanks again for checking out the video.